specialise in the removal of impacted earwax, infected debris and discharge from the ear canal. Some of you may also be aware that I'm the co-founder of a company called Clearwax. So if any of you watching this, my latest procedure, is an ear care specialist or an ear professional who wants to be trained in endoscopic earwax removal, please do visit our website www.clearwax.co.uk. And also, if you're a member of the public who suffers from earwax, you can visit the same website and find your nearest specialist. So in this video, I've got a client who attended with bilateral impacted earwax, and we're starting off with the right ear. His left ear was actually the worst of the two, and you can see the wax is quite impacted. It's dark, so it's oxidized. It's been in the ear for a while. I initially used the suction probe, but the wax was quite stubborn. I wasn't able to get a suction grip, so I resorted to a Jobson horn. Fortunately, there was a space, a gap at the roof of the ear canal where I could insert the Jobson horn in and behind the wax to leverage it out. So you've probably seen 2 or 3 large chunks already. This is the latest chunk, and you can see there's some dead keratin there. It was coated with some white skin, and you can see the skin on the ear canal wall. His ear canal's completely free now, including earwax. Just some dead keratin wax at the roof of the ear canal that I thought I'd go back in with the suction probe to vacuum, and we have a lovely, healthy, nice eardrum. This is his left ear, so this is the more challenging of the two. The earwax in this ear was a lot more compacted. There was no spaces or gaps initially for me to use a Jobson horn or an ear hook to try and prise this wax out. We're just at the entrance here, and I'm just at the base of the ear canal. I'm just gently trying to wriggle this wax out, loosen it from the canal wall, but it was really impacted. So I had no choice really but to use different instruments. Throughout the procedure in his left ear, you will see that I'm using a range of instruments. Here I'm using a Jobson horn. I initially went anteriorly, so to the left hand side of the patient's ear canal, which is his front of the ear canal, and I managed to use the Jobson horn to just push the canal wall to the side, get in behind the wax, which we can do when the wax is lateral, because the lateral part of the ear canal is made up of cartilage, where the inner 2/3 is made up of bone. If we apply some pressure to the cartilage portion, so the lateral, the first third of the ear canal, the patient can generally tolerate that. It's not too uncomfortable. I moved the last piece there, and I've just went back in with the suction probe. And you probably saw before I put the oil in, there was a mark at the top left-hand side of the earwax, and that's where the patient was using a cotton bud, a Q-tip, and he'd really pushed and impacted this wax really deep into his ear. After using the olive oil just to try and soften this for a few minutes, I just went back in with the suction probe, and I'm just trying to tease this wax off from the base where it's lodged. You can probably see the ear canal there, just where I'm tugging, and beyond that part of the ear canal there's a downward slope. There's almost a crater, and this wax is lodged within this crater. So I'm just trying to leverage this, lift this up and beyond the little kind of divot in his ear canal. You can also see some keratin attached there, and that keratin is really embedded, really tightly adhered to the wax and also the ear canal. And you can see just how much of a struggle it is at the moment. I'm really trying to lift this up and over that little divot in the ear canal, just posing a few challenges here. You can also see some matted hair on the wax there. And again, once more, I'm just trying to leverage this. If we could get this over this little divot in the ear canal, the wax should just come out easily, but it is easier said than done, unfortunately. So I'm just going to the other side, the anterior part, and trying to loosen that section of the earwax. And when you loosen wax, you want to get a good suction grip and then maneuver and manipulate the suction probe. You want to go around in circles just to tease the wax off the canal wall. I wasn't really getting anywhere, so I've just gone back in with the Jobson horn. I had really little choice, and we're in the bony part of the ear canal now, so I just had to be really delicate and cautious. I wasn't able to push the canal back like I was with the cartilage portion of the ear canal, because the cartilage it's a bit more flexible and malleable, whereas the bony part of the ear canal is very firm, stiff, as you can imagine, and if you do apply too much pressure to the bony part, the patient would find that very uncomfortable. I'm just now using an ear hook. I'm just trying to go to the roof of the ear canal, trying to create some space, trying to insert the ear hook in and behind the wax. But again, it is quite difficult to do. This wax really has been compacted. The best way to describe and compare it is if you're on a beach and you've got a bucket and you've got your spade and you're filling up the bucket with sand, some wet sand, and you then get the spade and really tapping and really impacting that sand in the bucket. Similarly, this is what the patient's unfortunately done with the Q-tip and cotton bud. Again, just going back with the suction probe, trying to loosen this from the posterior part of the ear canal, and once more again, it's using a Jobson horn. I'm just trying to glide this in the gap, and fortunately there I was able to do it without making contact with the bony part of the ear canal. I'm just trying to go behind the wax now and lever and leverage this forwards, and you can see the wax is loosening and it is coming forwards out towards the ear canal entrance. And I'm really applying a lot of force here, and despite that force it is still a challenge. So once again, just going back in, just trying to remove this segment that I've loosened. You can just see how, you can probably tell by the texture and the colour of the wax just how hard and impacted it is. It's really dry wax as well, and dry wax is quite often very difficult to suction because you just don't get that grip. So I removed a big chunk there. Some of the other earwax has also come forwards when I removed that big chunk, and once again I'm just trying to get in behind the wax. This is where you need to know the anatomy of the ear when you're working in there, because there's so much wax. You need to ensure that when you're manipulating the Jobson horn, you're not accidentally moving it too far to one side and touching the bony part of the ear canal. And there we are, we've just had another piece being removed. And this wax extends right from the ear canal entrance right to the eardrum. The ear canal length on average is about 3 centimeters. So you can just imagine how much wax is there. We're making some really good progress. Now that I've removed well, not a majority, but a lot of wax, I've just gone back in with the suction probe to see if some of this wax is easier to vacuum. You can just see how dry and embedded this is against the canal wall. You can see all the skin adhesions there where I'm working at the moment. And again, I'm just trying to lift this over that little divot, that little crater that I made reference to earlier. So I'm just going back in with the ear hook again, just trying to get to the roof of the ear canal, trying to glide this behind the wax and gently leverage it forward to extract it. So we have a small piece there that I've managed to remove. And now I'm just trying to glide the Jobson horn at the base of the ear canal, trying to lift this upwards to really loosen it. You can see where the Jobson horn is now, all that skin, that keratin that's embedded not only to the ear canal wall but also to the wax, making it really difficult to remove. So that skin, it's almost a tug of war against the skin. That skin doesn't want to release the wax, it doesn't want me to remove and extract this wax from the ear canal. Nonetheless, I am victorious in the end. You will see a bit later on, when you do remove skin like this, a thick layer of keratin, as it peels off the ear canal wall, it can cause some blistering and bleeding, and you will see that a bit later on in the video. That skin was really adhered and stuck, and what unfortunately sometimes that can happen when you remove that skin peels away, just as it does if you've got some dry skin on your finger and you peel that, you can get some blistering and sometimes even some bleeding. So it's just a small abrasion that you'll see a bit later, and we're making good headway there. Big chunk of wax, really dark. You can just see how, you can just know it's been there for a while, and that's some of that bleeding there that I made reference to. And that's not because we've made contact with the ear canal at all, it's just the skin being peeled away and exposing the ear canal itself. Gone back in with the Zola suction probe, moved another piece of wax, and there you have a better shot of the bleeding. Another chunk of wax. It's quite incredible actually how much wax I did removing the end. When you see the still images, there's a hell of a lot of wax on the tissue. And again, just gently wriggling this outwards. You can see a bit of blood at the base of the wax there where that skin was initially. Patient at no time during the procedure found it uncomfortable. He did find the wax quite irritating in his ear whilst he's eating and chewing, because you can just see how hard this wax is and how abrasive and coarse it is. Therefore, any jaw movements, such as talking or chewing, that wax was rubbing against the ear canal wall, making it quite itchy and irritable for him. And there's a huge piece of wax that I managed to remove. And there's that skin. You can see the skin's just peeled off just to the back of the ear canal there. You'll have another shot, and that's where the bleeding was stemming from. Just a bit more wax, quite medial, stuck at the roof, the attic region of the eardrum. And again, just gently tugging that away, and that's all clear now. Just going in with the Zola suction probe just to mop up some of this blood. That stopped bleeding immediately. It wasn't pouring at all. And just a bit of keratin there just left. I decided to leave that just in case I peel that off and there's a bit more bleeding. And there we are, there's a still image. The majority of the wax came out from the gentleman's left ear, but you can see that's a lot of wax. You saw all the instruments I used as well, which include the Zola suction probe, the ear hook and the Jobson horn. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and you're all having a good weekend, and hopefully